Hey guys, welcome to the first part of a multi-part Ren'Py tutorial series. We're going to be learning from the very beginning how to install Ren'Py, how to make your first project, and how to publish. And in the future, we'll be covering more topics such as web updaters, Discord presence, and so on. We'll be focusing more on adding functionalities similar to those found in simulator games, and think Pico Sim Date. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a dating sim with stat racing, turn-based combat, energy management, and a pretty solid story. For now in this video, I'll be running down how to install Ren'Py, choosing our text editor, and setting up our first project. Because I'm on Windows, I'm going to go with an executable file. If you're on Mac, you'll get this. If you're on Linux, probably this. Or you could get the zip. And if you're on Chromebook, down there. And currently, I'm on version 8.0.3. If you want a different version, you can scroll to the very bottom and get the complete list of releases over here. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And I'm going to extract it to my desktop. Go ahead and extract. So just wait that out. Once that's done, you can go ahead and close that. And I'll be referencing the documentations a lot. It's very well kept. Here we are. That's what we've extracted over there, Ren'Py 8.0.3. And we're going to go ahead and ignore everything and go to the very bottom and open and run this right here, renpy.exe. Oh, and before we get more in depth, I want to make sure you guys have this checked, file name extensions. Make sure you can see whatever the extensions are, mostly for images. Go ahead and run the launcher. And by default, we have two projects already going on for us, tutorial and the question. And they are right here, tutorial and the question. So we're going to go ahead and create a new project. And we want to make a new project. So go ahead and, so we want to select where our projects will be. We're actually going to pick, I'm actually going to expand this Ren'Py list because currently we're out here. I don't want my projects to be out here. So I'm going to go ahead in Ren'Py. Yep. And so I'm going to make them in here. So I'm going to go click that over here, folder. That's where I want all my Ren'Py projects to be. Change the launcher language if you want to, and you would basically do it preferences and down here. For me, I'll be using the system editor. Sorry, I completely forgot about that part. Text editors, I'm using Sublime. Sublime Text. Down for Windows. Or, if you prefer, you can use VS Code. Same thing, no difference. If you're using VS Code, make sure, go ahead and press Control-Shift-X. And that should bring you to extensions. Control-Shift-X. Make sure you have Python extension installed. Mine's already installed, but if you didn't have that installed, it would say something like install. Just go ahead and install that. And make sure you also have Ren'Py. Mine's already installed as well. Otherwise, it would look something like this. So, yep. Oh, make sure it's enabled. There's disabled, there's enabled. Compare what we have here. Define my function. Print yay to that. As you can see, the colorings really pop out and makes everything much easier to see. Another thing is when you press enter, I'm on this line by default. However, in Notepad, I have to press 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces again. And I can't see how many spaces there are either. Right to that, you see those little dots? Let's make a project first. And we'll name it Simulator. You can choose whatever you want. You can even choose custom. I'm going to go with a 1280 by 720. And on the right side here, you can view examples. I'm going to go ahead and go with the default one. light modes down there if you want. And so now it's creating a new project. From the left side over here, open directories. These open your project folder. This is your game folder. Most of the time, that's where you want to be. The base folder opens the base or the root folder. But otherwise, you're going to be in game and its subdirectories, such as images, right there. Audio, same thing, inside game as well. Images right there, audio is right here. GUI is right here, which is the next one right here. And then script, right here. Script options right here. GUI and screens right here. To specify which system editor you want to use, go ahead and find one of the .rpy files. Right click, and from there, open with. Just go with choose another app. And like I said, I'm sticking to Sublime, so I'm going to click Sublime and always. If you prefer VS Code, you're going to go ahead and click VS Code and always. And from there, it'll use that. I'm going to go back and change that back. So there we go. Next, let us set up our project. We're going to go ahead and open script. And we have a few things populated already. When you launch project, that's what you got. You've created a new Ren'Py game right here. And once you add a story, pictures, and music, you can release it to the world right here. And this E is, it means Eileen over here. And as you can see, Eileen's name appears here. Now if I were to remove this E, for example, and reload that, and the way you reload is Shift R. Make sure you're focused on your game screen. Shift R. Sometimes you have to press it twice, sometimes you don't. And as you can see, Eileen's name is now gone, right? There is also a narrator. Make sure you capitalize your people. Or maybe me. I'm the narrator, right? Make sure the C is capitalized. Otherwise, when you do this, character is not defined, right? So make sure this is capitalized. So anytime we don't specify who is speaking, it is by default the narrator. As you can see, even though we didn't write E or we didn't write narrator, and it's empty, the name is, it's still me. And of course, you can make more people with define. A equals character Alex. And we're going to go ahead and refresh that. Alex. Yeah, so that's the character we just used right there. We can use little attributes such as what prefix, for example. Oh, no, let me do Alex. What prefix equals. We're going to make him speak in quotes at all time. Okay, comma, and what suffix equals double quote, one singular double quote. And there you go. He's speaking in quotes, as opposed to Eileen, who speaks without quotes. So again, now refresh that, and there you go. See? Anytime you want to quote someone, use escape string. And as you can see here, it's failing, right? Or another way is you could just do this. This is another way you can do it. Either use single quotes outside and double quotes inside, like so. Let me clear this part too, so it's not so confusing with all the quotes. So there he is quoting someone, or use double quotes, or use escape strings. And the way we do that is we're going to do // quote escape string. Oh, sorry, no. We're going to do that twice, okay? Just copy paste that over. Period. There you go. So here I am with clean, fresh code. MC. How about that? Okay. MC equals MC name. And what this basically means is, or another way you can do it is like so. Same thing. As you can see, it fails because it doesn't know what MC name is. We're gonna default MC name equals just toString. And from here, we're gonna do Ren'Py input. What is your name? Oh, sorry, let me do this. MC name equals by input, what is your name? And from here, we're gonna strip that. MC name dot strip. If MC name, the length of, MC name is less than 0, or no, is equivalent to 0. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna set MC name equals Alex. Okay. So let's see if that works. Oh, sorry. Oh no, I guess not. No, you need these. Sorry. And now what we're gonna do from here is MC. Do you? My name is MC name. What is your name? So I'm gonna go with Bob. My name is Bob. Now what is your name? We don't say anything. My name is Alex by default. What strip does is it essentially, okay, so we're gonna comment this out for a bit and reload that. Oh, the way you bring up your menu is by right-clicking. Just go ahead and go to Help if you're ever stuck on what things do. Okay. So my name is space, bring space a few times, Alex. There, my name is a lot of spaces, Alex, right? So we want to use strip to get rid of spaces before and after. Let me do that again. Hold on. So there you go. See the period right here and the is before that. So we want to strip. Okay, that's right. Oh, sorry. Okay, I forget something. Equals MC name dot strip. Okay. We want to make sure that our MC name is equivalent to the value of whatever it is after it's been stripped. There we go. All right. So if you just write a bunch of spaces, your name is Alex by default. If you write Alex, there. So there it is. That's forcing a name. Let's say, what if you don't want to force a name, but instead you want your players to choose a name anyways? Then what you're gonna do is jump start, and there you go. I'm just gonna restart that. Go to the main menu, reload, and what is your name? We press enter. I'm pressing enter right now, but it's not letting me. As you can see, I have a lot of spaces, and if our name, the length of our name, is equivalent to 0, we're going to go ahead and restart the game. One way to get around restarting from the very beginning, let's say, well, what if I have text beforehand? Welcome to the world. And what is your name? Right? Something like that. Welcome to the world. What is your name? What if you don't want that, right? No, you can do this. Jump name. Name label. Okay, so we're going to do label, name, label, and here. So now instead of jumping to the start, we're going to jump to name label. Whoops, sorry. There we go. So what is your name? So you can see now we're going all the way back to this rather than reloading. Welcome to the world. What is your name? And then welcome to the world. What is your name again? In the next episode, I'll be going through adding you know what? Now we're gonna go into stats. Okay. Default. A very, very basic way is to do something like default, let's say strength, sorry, I can't just do st, strength equals 0. Default intellect equals 0, and default charm, I guess, equals 0. Now from here, my name is Alex. I have strength. I don't know, stones, strong. I am my IQ of intellect known far and wide, and many swoon over my of charm. Right. So this is what Ren'Py calls. This is what we call string interpolation. In Ren'Py, you can go ahead and use. You can just encapsulate them in brackets. So my name is just Alex. My name is Alex. I'm 0 stone strong. My IQ of 0 is known far and wide, and many swoon over my extreme charm stat of 0. Okay, and anytime, let's say, menu first question, for example. Make sure you space. If you've noticed something, I have done. See all those dots? That is a space. Okay. Every single time I do a colon, I add 4 additional spaces because because of this label right here, colon, 4 spaces. Until the next colon, which is right here, I add an additional 4 spaces. And once I'm done with this block, if whenever the length of MC name is 0, I do this. Once I'm done with this, I will go ahead and unindent these 4 spaces and go back to, instead of 8 spaces, 4, 8. I'll just go back to my regular 4. Because we have another colon here, we're going to go ahead and add 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're using 3, if you're going 1, 2, 3, then add 1, 2, 3. Make sure you stay consistent. That was 6, right? 7, 8. And these guys are called choice items, okay? And from here, let's say we want to ask, let's say, what quality do you value the most? Okay? And from here, we can say, let's go with quotes here. Strength is most important. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do another colon. Note that you can't have more than 1 line, I believe. I could be wrong, but you can't have more than 1 line of string in a menu. And we're going to go ahead, because we did a colon here, we're going to go ahead and enter and space, 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 and space. Again, I'm using 4. I'm using 4, 8, 12. If you're using 3, go 3, 6, 9, okay? Stay consistent. Strength is important. So I'm going to go ahead and say MC, right? Because we defined MC as MC name, whatever that may be. So we're going to go MC. Strength is the most important quality. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and just copy this 2 more times. 1, 2 for intellect. Whoops. Capitalize that. And charm is the most important. And we're going to just go copy, and paste. And every time we say one of these, anytime you need to edit a define or default number or value, you're going to go ahead and use this money sign, okay? So go ahead and strength. And make sure, notice that I'm using lowercase strength because I said default lowercase strength equals 0. If I did this, it wouldn't work. It won't be the same thing. So lowercase strength plus equal, let's say, I don't know, 5. I'm just going to go ahead and do that again. Strength, intellect, and charm. Okay? And now we're going to go ahead and make a screen as well. Screen my stats. And because we did colon, we're going to go ahead and add 4 spaces again. So screen my stats. Text. Let's go with we're going to go hbox. 4 spaces. Text. Strength. Or you can do this. They mean the same thing. But again, it doesn't really matter. But we'll stick to this just for consistency purposes. But you will see that they're the same. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and let's from the beginning show screen my stats. And we use label start because every time you press the start button, you're jumping to label start. And we'll go over that in another episode where, let's say, you don't want to start in label start, but somewhere else. So go ahead and launch. So, oh, shoot, sorry. Okay, maybe you want to stick to string interpolation so that it becomes a string. Because the way it is, let me add str, intellect, oops, and charm. Actually, let's switch that to a VBox. Currently, we're going horizontally, and a VBox would bring us down, like so. So we go string, intellect, and charm. What is your name? My name is Alex. So go ahead. What qualities do you value the most? Let's say intellect is the most important. So there you go. Intellect just changed, as you can see over there. We'll go back. Strength and charm. Now that we're done with the setup, I'm going to go and explain what I did and why I did what I did. Starting with the very beginning, default MC name. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but we have 2 different things, default and define. It's not that we're defining because it's a character. Well, I mean, it kind of is, but the way we use define is when we have a constant variable. Imagine something like define, what would be constant? Let me see. For example, actually, I don't know anything about gravity. Maybe I should have done that. Let's say age, year, birth year. My birth year will never change. So I don't know. Like let's go with 1900. I'm born in 1900, and 100 years from now, my birth year would still be 1900, right? That doesn't change. So we would use define. For things that do change, such as our age, define or default age equals it's 2023, so 2023 minus birth year, and that is our age. So you can actually run this and check it out. I reloaded just now. Hold on to Shift and press O on your keyboard. Shift O. And from here, you are gonna type age because of this. We already defaulted. We already said it was a variable, and we're just gonna type enter. It's 123. We're 123 years old. Technically, you could change birth year equals 1901. And now we would obviously have to go through it again and go age equals, otherwise it would still be 123. So we would have to go age equals 2023 minus birth year. And then we would have to retype age again, 122. It doesn't repeat itself by itself over and over. We would have to manually recheck it. So again, define is for things that won't be changing. Default for things that will and probably will be changing. Like our stats, for example, they're going to be changing throughout the game once we're playing them, when we get there. But things like our birth year will never change. Next, we're going to talk about. Oh, right. I ran into an error earlier when I did this, and then let me run that. Let me reload, and it's going to give you an error. It says cannot display 0 as text because 0, charm is 0. Charm is an integer, and we're going to run through the integers real quick. Let me hit my plans. So we have these. Oh, nice. My text editor also highlighted them differently. So if I was to write, let me just do this real quick so I can access my terminal. Whoops. If I were to write type of charm, because we already defined charm, we can do this. Type of charm. Otherwise, if I were to say type of, let's say, agility, that's not a thing because we haven't made it yet, a thing yet. But if I did say agility equals 0, and then I go type of agility, then I get something back. If you were to write my new variable string, and then you exited the game, and then you go ahead and relaunch that project. What was it? My new variable. Is that a thing? This is not persistent. It's not added to your code. This is just more for checking things along the way. Yes, you can check things that you do have, and also you can check for things that you don't have, like just temporary. We're gonna check the string or type of MC name, and we should get class string because it is a string type. And we go type of strength. For example, we get integer. An integer is any real whole numbers. Okay, so 0, 20, 5,000, real whole numbers. On the other hand, a float is a decimal number. So 0.1, 27.2, 21. I'm fat fingers, but that works too. That is a float. A string is, in another word, just text. Anything in quotes. String. These two mean the exact same thing. It doesn't matter if you use double quotes or single quotes. This is purely preference. This is just because I'm lazy. Every time I want to type a double quote, I have to hold on to shift and then quote, right? When I could just do quote just like that. So this is purely my preference. And a list is a list of integers like 0. It can contain other types of data types. These are all called data types. I should have mentioned that first. So list 0, that's an integer, or we'll do like 2, why not? 0.1, that's a float. String, text. It can also contain other lists, and we're gonna go with, I don't know, 5, 2.0, yeah, 2.0, and more text. So just keep an eye out on the commas. My text editor shows me that this bracket right here goes in pair with this bracket right here. So if I were to delete this together, this bracket then would open and close with this bracket. And of course, the commas are separators of different elements in your list. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys this real quick. So my list equals, and lists always start with these guys. Or I mean, start and end with these guys. You can have an empty list. That's an empty list. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and my list equals this. And to check the values of a list, you would simply write my list, and you would type, you would use then open bracket, close bracket, and then we start at 0. So if I want to find the first index, I would write 0. Or actually, that's the 0th index. That's the first element, 0 index, index 0. It's just the way it is. I can't tell you why. Not from the top of my head. I'd have to look it up first. So if I want that 0.1, I would have to write 1. So if I write type of my list, I would get a list. My list 2 should give us text because, again, 0, 1, 2. Okay? So text. Here's the thing with 3. Because 3 is separated by this comma and is this entire list, this is what we get instead. So how do I get more text? Basically, 0, 1, 2, again, 3, more list thingy-majigs, more brackets, more text. See that? And if you mistook the fourth element and wrote that in instead of the third index, like so, you would get an error. And this does break your game. Oh, anytime your keywords light up like this, I'm not sure about VS Code, but in Sublime, if you're following along with me on Sublime, and you see something like, let's say you made a variable called continue, and your code lights up, that you're in trouble because these are Python keywords, or some of them are Ren'Py keywords, like character, for example. If you name your character, or if you, I don't know, default character. Oh, it doesn't light up. But anytime something lights up, be careful because it's a major keyword to either Python or Ren'Py. So you shouldn't do this. So yeah, as you can see, crashed right away. What's on the list is a dictionary. It's very similar to a list. We have entries instead. They're created with curly brackets instead. And they have entries, something like name, and then the entry is separate, or this is called a key. And the keys, key and value, they come in keys and value pair. The key is separated from the value with a colon. But this time, we don't indent. Okay? No indenting. And name, John. Uh, birth, year, 1900. So we're going to go ahead and copy this. My dict equals that. As you can see, it can also contain string and integers and also floats. I don't know. Fav num. Favorite number is, for some reason, John's favorite number is 3.14. He loves pi. Let's redo that. My dict equals there. Now, to check what this my dict contains, you can just type my dict and you get everything back. Or, oh yes, the same thing applies to my list. You also, whoops, oh no, I restarted my game. But you would get back this that you typed in. I never explained that, only the indexes. So if I were to say my dict and I want just the name. I don't want anything else. Name. John. What if I want his birth year? 1900. So you would not write, you don't do 0 or 1, for example, like a list. You would instead write their key. Last thing I want to touch on is Boolean. Either true or false. These are the only two values it can contain. So let's go with type of what is my dict. Okay, well in Python it would say something like, let me just copy paste this real quick. A equals that, type of A, dict, right? This is just because this is Ren'Py. Now if I were to say F equals false and type of F, I get Boolean. Now F equals true and type of F, it's still a Boolean, right? They are either true or false. And it doesn't have to be F. It can be like frapple, whatever that is. True. Type of frapple Boolean. There are a few more data types, but these are the biggest ones that I can think of. We've covered data types. I want to show you. Oh yes, Let's take a look at this real quick. So now 0 loads over here. Earlier it ran into an error saying that we can't text charm. Line 13, if you look at over here on the left side, line 13 is running into an error because it cannot display 0 as text. Is it because it's 0? No. If I were to write, I don't know, 47, and I run that. Oh, I can't roll back, I forgot. 47, start. Cannot display 47 as text because this is, if you remember, type of charm is an integer. It's not a text. A text would be anything in a quote or double quotes. I'm using single quotes, so I'm just going to say quote. Anything in quotes. String. This function turns whatever number it may be, whatever, it doesn't have to be a number, it could be a float. So 47.2041. Oh, okay. Fat fingers. Ignore that. Ignore. Okay, never mind. I'm just going to reload. load fully. So there. This works because of just how Ren'Py string interpolation works. But writing it like this, you would need to use string. You would have to force this, whatever it may be. In this case, it's a float. But if it was an integer, you would have to force it to become a string to show it in text. Next, let's talk about labels. I'll come back to screens in a bit. Labels. Think of labels as chapters in a book. So chapter 1. Instead of chapter 1, we're chapter start. Because we do chapter, or not chapter, I almost wrote chapter. Label 4. Hello. And then we're gonna jump label, oh, jump 4. That's not gonna work because it expects a name, not a number. So you can do label chapter underscore 4. Notice that I'm using underscore and not space, because if I were to do a space, it doesn't count it as one key, one word, one name, one key, one word, one name. So then I would have to jump chapter 4 underscore 4. Anytime you need to name something, not just in Ren'Py, but in programming in general, when you're naming something, get into the habit of replacing spaces with underscores. There are 3 major ways you can do this. There is default, sorry, not default. There is snake case, which is what we're using here. Snake underscore case. Snake case uses underscores. There is camel case, which begins the first recognizable word, and it doesn't have to be a real word like graph. I know I don't know, doing something with physics. I would know graph would mean gravity, right? So it doesn't have to be gravity. Camel, and the next word would start with a capitalized letter or whatever word that you recognize, like grav boots. I don't know. Camel case. And last but not least, we have Pascal case. And I'm more of a snake case kind of person. Sometimes I mix in camel case. It does not matter. This is all preferences, and I don't know. If you're coding in academics or a professional environment, maybe it would matter. But again, not for Ren'Py, not for your hobby. You do you, right? Yes, so think of labels as chapter names, okay? Each label is a chapter. And whenever you're saying jump, you're essentially saying flip to this page. Don't bookmark it, just flip to it. Because here, when we start welcome to the world, and then what? Chapter 4. Because here, when we start the game and we say welcome to the world, and we go to the next one. Oh, I forgot to save my file. Because here, when we start welcome to the world, and we click what is your name? Because we flipped to this chapter, and it's asking us what is our name. We'll write Bob. My name is Bob. Now, to explain these, it is because this works because of Ren'Py's string interpolation. Essentially, strength points back to strength, intellect, and charm, and our MC name points back to these lines. okay? Because we defined it as 0 as showing up of 0. If I were to write 50, and up here in our screen too, I'm going to reload. I'm going to have to restart. I'm going to reload and then start. As you can see, strength starts at 50, intellect and charm also starts at 50. My name is still Bob, and my stats are much higher now because of these. I want you to notice that strength, intellect, and charm are written in all lowercase. And because of that, when we reference them, we want to use lowercase as well. Now, if I were to say capital S in strength, this would kill my game because lowercase s doesn't exist anymore. Make sure you have the correct cases. And if it's the other way around, where this is a lowercase and this instead we accidentally uppercase, it's going to kill your game too because this variable name, or not name, sorry, strength with a capital S doesn't exist. Make sure you have the correct names. Let's loop back and talk about this real quick. This money sign. What does this mean? Anytime we want to change a variable, we're going to use this money sign. Not type it out. To type it out, or for a person to speak it, simply, make sure it's in quotes. And then simply use that. Open bracket, close bracket, followed by whatever variable you're trying to speak. But whenever you want to change that variable, you're going to do this on a separate line. You cannot say I am strength stones strong and then go strength plus 100. That's not going to work. I'll show you what that does. Bob, there, strength plus 100. That does nothing. So anytime you want to change a variable's value, you're going to go ahead and do this on a separate line. You can't do strength plus equals 50. So you want to do strength plus equal 50. Something like that, okay? Every single variable you want to change, new line. I don't want to do that. You can if you want. As you can see, I do this. And yes, you can do more than one thing. So you can do that. To explain the plus equal sign, it is equivalent to equals whatever intellect is. Currently it's 0. Intellect equals intellect plus 2. We don't just want to set intellect equals 2, right? Because this would, let's say our intellect's 100. That's 1,000. 100. If we were to play through the game and we select strength, and we delete that line, our intellect would be 100 plus 2, and then it would be 2. My intellect is intellect. So I'm going to show you guys what that does. Strength is more. My intellect is 2. What happened to our 100? It's because of this. You want to make sure if you're adding on to something equals intellect plus 2. 104. No, that's not supposed to happen. Oh, no, sorry, it is because of this. So 2 and 4. I'm going to delete that line real quick. 102. My intellect is 102 because of this. Intellect is equivalent or is equal to intellect plus 2. And a shorthand way to write this, let's say you have a... Do you see how long that is? So a shorter way to write this would be 2 plus equal 7, right? Um, just way shorter. As you can see in the bottom right, this is a new day for me. I'm recording on another day, almost 24 hours later, I think. So I want to talk about blocks again real quick because I just see a lot of people kind of mess up on this, kind of forget about it. We start, if you take a look up here, all of these guys are on the very leftmost line. There is no space like these guys, no spaces at all. And that's because they're their own thing. They start and they end. These guys don't. They start. There's a colon. There's more stuff. And anytime you see a colon, anytime you colon, you're gonna space 4 times. For me, I'm spacing 4 times. Again, if you're doing 1, 2, 3, then all of these would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and this wouldn't be 1, 2, 3. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because we have another colon. Um, each of these is a block. This is a block. Um, this is another block. And together, both of these is in one bigger block. This is a block. This is another block. Um, this is another block. And this is another block. There are 3 blocks in menu first question. And menu first question is a block in our label name label block. Okay? And also, obviously, this statement right here is also part of the block that's in here. If you're on Sublime, you can check this real quick by doing if you go to the whatever line you're on, it separates it by blocks. So block, any block you can just collapse. So the 1, 2, 3, 3 blocks in here, right? Because of these colons, 3 blocks and a bigger block here and another block here, and together there's 2 blocks in label name label. And it itself is also a block, right? I hope you guys understand that. One thing I want to mention real quick is we want to do this and not this because luckily we're not using MC name. Okay, here, let me show you guys this real quick. And we're just going to set MC name to Bob. We're going to restart the game from the very beginning. Bob says, welcome to the world. MC name says, welcome to the world. And MC name is equivalent to Bob. Now, or is Bob, is the string Bob. Now we're going to set it this way instead. We're going to run. Oh, nope, that works. My bad. There are times where it just won't work because of the order that these variables are defined. I guess it's okay for now, but when we get into things such as init and whatnot, it's going to start to matter when which variable is defined. Just something to keep in mind, although we didn't run into an error this time. Last thing before we get to screens, I want to talk about learning to start ending your bigger blocks with return. You don't have to do this every single time. You don't have to return your smaller blocks. I mean, you can, depending on its usage. What return would essentially do is end your game. Because we skipped to this, or we changed to chapter name label. Anytime we use return in here, the game would end. So here, if I were to say Bob and strength, oh, sorry. It's also because everything ends after that. Let's say, wow. Now, what do we value the most? If we say charm, charm is most important, and it will say wow. Because once we've exited this block and we unindent, the next thing that comes is wow. And same thing with intellect, intellect, wow. Now if we were to say strength is the most important because of this return, our book ends, our chapter ends because we are jumping to this chapter. Now, if we were, there's another thing called call name label, and wow. Let me show you guys jump. Wow. We. Okay. And wow. All right. We're going to comment that out for now. If I were to, doesn't matter what I pick, they're all the same now. If I pick strength, wow. If I pick intellect, wow. And if I pick charm, it says wow. After, I'm currently right here. After I hit that wow, the next line after wow is return. You'll see that the game ends. Now, there's another thing that's different from a jump. Again, jump is, think of it as chapters in a book. Jump would say, turn to this chapter without bookmarking it. Whenever I want, if I do want to go back to the previous chapter, I would use call that chapter, okay? And you can also do this to screens as well. So I would do show screen or call screen. We'll get to that. Anyways, we're going to call name label. If you remember when we jumped, we just got wow, and we never saw wowee, right? This is calling now. This is how call works. My name is still Bob. As you can see, there's no discrepancies. Wow, intellect, wow, and strength was wow. I think I ended on charm, right? I don't quite remember. Charm is the most important. Wow. And because we called, as soon as we hit that return, we're going to exit from this call and go to the next line. And this, anytime you see a hashtag, this means this is for human readability. Readability, not the Ren'Py engine. And I could even do something ridiculous like list equals 5. Now, let me show you. List equals 5. Oh, nope, that works. Why? Okay, all right, let's do int equals 5. Int equals 5. If I were to do int equals 5 in game, if you're changing, again, variables, you want to do that money sign, and we're going to go int equals 5. It would crash, right? Because we hashtagged it. Same thing, int equals 5. This would be ignored by the Ren'Py engine. This is for me to read. What is your name? Bob. Oh, I think I put it up here. Sorry. I just want to show you guys that, it works. Because this is for human readability. See how the text is slightly grayed out compared to this brighter color. So my name is Bob. Charm is most important. Click. I go to wow. And then I'm going to return to over here. We're going through this, and then we're going to exit it and come out over here. Wowee. We come out here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. And there's also nothing here. And we come out to wowee, as you can see. And then we return. This would end the game. The point I wanted to get to wasn't actually to jump and call. I mean, that was a plus. The point I wanted to get to was return. Start returning your labels. If this were to not be here, if return doesn't exist as well, then we start, welcome to the world. Game should end, but if we left click, it asks, what is our name? Because Ren'Py reads top to bottom, it's going this way, and then there's nothing here. Hey, there's a label. Might as well. And so we're now down here. We're not in this label anymore. So I want you guys to start getting into the habit of return from every single label. This works out coincidentally, luckily, whatever, because of the way, we wrote it. We wrote top to bottom, just the way the program is reading top to bottom. Although this is completely useless because we're leaving start, we're going to name label because of this jump, and name label has a return itself. And because we jumped, the game is ending there. We're not returning to start. So although this is technically useless, still get into the habit of it for practice purposes. I want to talk about screens and Ren'Py docs. Screen is where is that? Screens are extreme. I can't find it. Not screen navigations. Whatever. Screen and screen languages. Here we go. Screens are extremely powerful. You can use it for a lot of different things. You can use it to display bars, and what a Ren'Py bar looks like is these guys, for example. That's a text bar right there. That little, these guys. These are all text bars, right? Um, there's the setting bars, preferences, whatever. These guys, bars. These are all made using screens, okay? There's bars, there are buttons. You can use buttons. Dismiss. Um, fixed, that's like a frame. Frames down here, but it's just like each other. A grid, for example, if you want to show a photo gallery. HBox, we used HBox if you remember. Or maybe VBox. I think we changed to VBox. So yeah, HBox, VBox, VBox down here. It's just because it's alphabetical, but they're pretty much the same thing. Just that one's horizontal and one's vertical. So if I were to change this to H, notice how it's right or it's left to right now instead of top to bottom. I just thought this would look better. You can add images. I don't have any, so we're gonna go ahead and whoops, go to the GUI instead, and we're gonna add this little guy. Go to script and add window icon. I don't think this would work because I didn't give it its path. Where was it found? GUI, right? GUI slash. Oh, whoops. Oh, yes. I want to talk about this next. Whenever you're showing images, make sure you go to game. Start from there, and now find what image you want. Let's say, for example, is in GUI. So we're going to go to GUI. Here we go. And we write GUI slash. If you copy and paste this, you will get a backward slash. That is not the same thing. If you notice that, it's not the same thing. It's not because it's out of the quote, but it's not the same thing because this starts an escape character. So GUI, right? Because we went into GUI, and then because we don't have to go to like phone. If we did, we'd have to write phone slash one more time, and then I don't know button for example, and then we have to write button slash, and then whatever because there's no more folder, we would have to get whatever image name that we see. But for our example, because we want that little guy, we are going to write GUI slash we got to our image, and you can just right click and rename. So F2, right click F2, and then don't just copy the file name, but also get the extension. So copy paste, and so to get the extension or to view the extension, click view up here, show, and make sure file name extensions is ticked. Otherwise, you get this. So compare this. Oh, I've got to save the file. Compare this to that, right? So you want the file extension to be showing. View and file name extensions. Some images, for example, are JPGs. .jpg. That will work too. JPG. There's JPEG. Same thing, but still doesn't work. There's WebP. We don't have that, so it won't work. Right? So we want to make sure we can see our extensions. .webp. Simple. Now it works. Okay? So please, please, please make sure you have that working. Make sure you see your extensions. I'm going to go back to PNG. Yeah, so screens, extremely powerful. To show a screen, show screen, followed by your screen name. And it can be anything. Again, no spaces. See how it's now cut off from the screen name? Or, I don't know how to explain this. But see how it's cut off now? Instead, if I were to do underscore, now it's one name, right? Rather than two separate words, it is one singular word. Because we don't do spaces. Apple pie space pi equals I don't know 5. Think of it like math. X equals 5, right? But apple space pi equals 5. That doesn't work. But if we were to do apple underscore pi equals 5, now we write apple underscore pi times 2, 10, right? Just as we did x equals 5, x times, whoops, where's the times? Times 2, 10. Okay, so get into the practice of choosing a naming standard. So again, snake case. I'm just going to delete that, whatever. Pascal case and camel case. Because naming something like, let's say we have a longer variable, like, or not even longer, just like my stats, and my stats, and my stats, and then my stats, and just, I mean, it's all readability, right? This you can really tell, hey, it's like two separate words. This you can also tell because of the capitals, and I mean this too, I guess. I guess I should have done something like that if I want pure readability, but it's all preference, and I mix and match sometimes. It doesn't really matter. Again, if you're not doing this in a professional academic capacity, then and you're just doing this for hobby, you do you. Okay, so I think I went way over the time. Yep, an hour almost of me just talking. I'm going to have to clip a lot of this video. Yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Please let me know if you like this format where I show you guys the code and what I do, and then I run down you through the code later, afterwards. Um, if you don't like it, let me know. If you like it, let me know too. I'm willing to take feedback. Quick thing, real quick. Nice thing is you can also use my other screen. Let's go with text hello world, and the position is x position of 0.5. We can also do use my other screen. For images, you want to add. For other screens, you want to use, okay? So don't mix them up. You can't add my other screen. Add my whoops, my other screen. You can't do this. Oh, I'm gonna have to, fine, I closed my Ren'Py by accident. Oh, it's gonna say my other screen is not defined, right? Because add takes a string. Even if I did do this, because add is for images. I think I can search it up here. Ah, here we go. Add statement. The add statement is special. Adds an already existing displayable to the screen, right? And then let me find use. Let me delete the highlighting. Use. And here's use. The use allows a screen to include another. Okay? So we wouldn't do that. We would use. And there is hello world. Oh, and you don't need to add it in quotes like that. It's, you know. So there you go. Hello world in the middle. 0.5. 0.5 out of 1. And we'll go over this in another video. Again, let me know what you guys think of the format that I have set up. I'll see you in the next video.